Think of your favorite teacher when you were in grade school or even in middle school. These wonderful teachers and writers that had this ability to touch us when we were young, but also touch us when we are grown up as well. I mean, don't you smile when you see Big Bird still as an adult? This funny big yellow bird and green eggs and ham, right? We know the stories, we can recite them, and we keep reading them to the kids in our lives. There is something about a teacher that can reach you when you're little and reach you when you're big. I saw that with Thich Nhat Hanh when I was at his retreat a number of years ago, and he would have the children there, and he would talk to the children, and we all sat enraptured by what he would say as the adults. Their message was just as good for us as it was for them. So I love a teacher that can do that, can be like my own Dr. Seuss and Mr. Rogers. And we are blessed here in this church because we have one. We have our own teacher that can span those generations. She works with 4th graders, she has her own grandchildren, and we're her grandchildren who are all grown up. And she was here with us a couple of weeks ago to help us learn about how to use our hands to calm us down, and how to use breathing, and how to use these techniques to be more centered and spiritual and capable. And we are so blessed because before she flies off to Florida, because she's a dreaded snowbird, and she's going to leave us for 6 months. But we're so lucky that we've had her this summer that I asked her to come back one more Sunday and to speak to you about anything that you would like in addition to what she has planned. But this is your last week with Grandma Nancy to ask her anything that you'd like, to get clear on what she's teaching us, and to make use of this beautiful licensed teacher who has been gifted to our community. We're so grateful. So let's welcome Grandma Nancy. The podium as much, but she's wearing a fun
Grandma Nancy outfit.
She's got her Grandma Nancy outfit on, okay.
I'm a little foot clamped here. Peggy, thank you. Over the years, I have repeatedly come back to remembering in my mind when I first started to read the Bible, suffer the little children and let them come unto me. Suffer? There we go again. But over time, what I have come to appreciate is to let the little children come unto us, and let the little children within us come out and play too. And so, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I have for the last several years been volunteering in a Title I school, and now up here in a very well-to-do school, teaching kids what I think are some life skills. And they fall under the category of practical spirituality, which I do not mention in the school system. But invariably, what I am beginning to realize is over and over again, something like the daily word telegraphs to me exactly what it is that's going on in my life and how it is that I am to be present in my life. Today is no exception. You've already heard from Peggy that the word today, or the affirmation today, is through the divine in me, I discover and develop my true spiritual potential. First couple of sentences of the reading are, as I learn who I truly am, I embrace my Christ nature, the image of God that I am. I discover my true spiritual potential as I allow my divine faculties, such as imagination, faith, love, wisdom, understanding, strength, and more, to express through my thoughts, words, and actions. Well, a couple of weeks ago, we started to go through some of the primary things that I've been teaching children, which I really do believe are the way in which we get back into that true child of God that we are, so that we can cope with what's going on, living our lives, not having to rely on pharmaceuticals and other kind of stuff. And we're going to review that. If you weren't here a couple of weeks ago, there are additional copies of this. Is it in the fellowship hall?
Yeah, it's in the fellowship hall and in the table outside.
And on the table outside. How many of you were here a couple of weeks ago, got one of these as the insert? Okay, cool. I'm going to call on you in a minute, so I'm glad you raised your hand. What I really come to understand is the key to living our truest selves is our breath. That, that first thing that happens, we come out and there's a whack on the bottom, and what do? We breathe. And I figure by the time we're 2, we have started to stop our natural breathing because we keep stopping it when something interesting happens or gets our attention, and we gradually become more and more shallow breathers. So the whole concept is I encourage each of us to breathe to our best. How many of you have been doing this who were here a couple of weeks ago? How's it going?
Well, I would like to say that while my husband was in the hospital, I was folding my hand over like this and breathing. So thank you, thank you.
Yay. Yay. Thank you, Jeanette. How else? Anyone else? Someone earlier today said, I'm no longer as reactive. Have you noticed how dangerous it is to be reactive these days? We start on a real slippery slope. This whole idea of remembering to breathe deeply is so important. Elizabeth's going to take us through the example of how to best do this deep breathing, right, Darren?
Yes, and I don't know about you, but this is something that for years I just kind of rolled my eyes at. I know how to breathe, I mean, duh. And I thought, I don't really need lessons in this, I get it. I'm a singer, so I certainly get it. Except then I went to get some voice coaching, and the first thing she told me was I was breathing wrong. So I realized that it's not as easy as it seems. So let's do a little test here. Put your right hand on your chest and put your left hand on your belly and take a nice big deep breath as big as you can. Go. And let it out. And which hand moved? Both, okay? So that means that there's probably more air coming into the top than should be. There were some that I noticed, like me when I first started, this is what happened. I lifted up my shoulders, or this was big. So what we really need to do is get a little more down here. So press just a little bit on your chest, not heavy, but try to keep this more in place because we're so used to it. And let your belly just come out. Don't worry, no one's looking at it. Ready? Let's breathe. Oh my gosh, that was so much better. Now do it again. Breathe with your left hand. One more time. So keep working on that. That is the trick. Less of this, less of the right hand, and more of the left hand. And I noticed that when I was driving here today, I get a little bit nervous sometimes on Sundays before I speak, and so I was thinking about it in the car, what was I going to be saying, and I caught myself and did a nice couple of belly breaths, and the thoughts were gone completely. So this is so beautiful, Nancy. Thank you for reminding us about it. And wherever you are, anytime you want to get ready to react, start by just, even if you don't want anyone to notice, you just gently rest your hands here. No one needs to know. And you see if that belly's coming out.
Thank you. One of the things I often hear from the children when we do this is I'm lightheaded. And I tell them that's wonderful. Because the brain is telling us it has not been properly oxygenated. And unfortunately, when that happens, our brain is not able to function at its best. And it has all kinds of cascading effects on us physically, emotionally, psychologically, and certainly spiritually. So a couple of weeks ago, and Jeanette, thank you for bringing this up, we talked about how to get out of those emotional turmoils that we get in. You know, we're over on the gerbil wheel and we're angry or we're sad or we're upset or whatever. And we talked about this technique called how to rid yourself of worry fast. You remember, kids? Anybody doing it?
Yeah.
Who wants to explain to the people who weren't here what it's all about?
Well, I will, because I decided the other day that I'm going to include it in a workshop for serving English learners at our bilingual conference. I thought I wanted to do a workshop that included kind of the climate of the classroom, and I felt this is helpful for kids if they're frightened. So I have a very loud voice.
But so just really make sure we get on the recording
all right.
too.
Okay,
good.
So in trying to help people learn to, thank you, okay, to learn to relax a little. First thing we would do is, it's called worry fast.
Rid yourself of worry.
Rid yourself of worry quickly. So rid yourself of worry fast. The first thumb is for W, is a W. That's to control worry. The finger is control fear. The third finger is to control anger. This one is to control sadness. And this one is to control trying too hard. So the idea is that you hold on to that finger gently and try to feel the pulse in the finger. And you breathe like we're supposed to breathe, and hold on to your finger. And then you do it with the other hand, so we get both sides of the brain activated, right? Now you do that with each one, and the worry one, you can do it this way, which is what I was doing a lot of this past week. You put your hand like this, bend your fingers over it, and then you wrap your other hand around, and you can hold on to your other thumb.
So loosen your grip.
You have to,
you
can't do it too tight or you won't be able to do it. I found I couldn't do it if I did it the other way. If I started with the other finger, I couldn't get it around. So you do it, try different ways, turn it around, hold on, and then just go ahead, lower your shoulders, breathe in your stomach. I was breathing in for 5 and out for 10. And if you relax, you're feeling the pulse in both of your thumbs. You want to feel the pulse in both of your thumbs. Breathe in through the stomach. And I let my ribs fall back when I breathe out. Let your ribs fall back as you breathe out. And I like it when I feel a sensation come up this way. Then it's good. Sometimes I can see purple going, which I love. When I get to see the purple, that's like, oh,
That's
cool.
Give Jeanette a hand. Thank you, Jeanette. Wow. Really, actually someone able to demonstrate it for us. That's so great. So if you're in a meeting, any of those fingers, so let's go over it one more time. I know getting it right. And again, there's a few copies of the handouts out there. So it's get rid of worry fast. So, worry.
Thumbs are for worry.
Say worry.
Worry. Fear. Anger.
Sadness.
Trying too hard.
Worry fast. Worry
Rid
fast.
yourself, worry fast. Someone asked at the 9 o'clock service, well, what if you've got more than one thing going on? My best advice is figure out which is the most troubling emotion that you're experiencing and go for that finger first. Because the most troubling one, as we quell that, as we quiet that, as we get this circuit closed from this firing, we are able to begin to see things more clearly, to understand what our options are, to make better decisions. So if you're so angry you want to smack somebody, but you're also worried about what would happen if you did that, and then really you're so sad that you're so angry, I go to this one to unravel the others. And so, I'm so glad you used this. Thank you so much, Jeanette. This is really something that I have observed has been life-changing for these children. And we are all children of God. It doesn't matter how many years we've accumulated in the history of being that child of God, but we can always be refreshed and renewed if we get out of shallow breathing, out of emotional turmoil, and we become present. The next thing I talk to the kids about is hydrating.
My favorite topic. So, how many of you have one of these on you today? Let's see them. How many water drinkers do we have? I see Chris in the back, Isabel, Gail, Brenda. Okay, so about 10 of us do. I see someone taking a drink right now. Once again, this is one of the most important things that you can do. And if you think about all the stories in the Bible that involve water, you realize this is an ancient teaching around water. What are some stories from the Bible that involve water?
Walking on water.
walking on water. Jesus walked on it.
Baptism.
Baptism. We are baptized in this stuff because it is so important. What else? The flood? Yes, it can be dangerous. Yes. So it's so important for us to get this, and it becomes more important as we get older. And so this isn't some fancy teaching where you need to sit for, 4 hours and meditate. This is basic self-care, because if we don't have this, then we're not able to sit down and meditate and to pray and to go out and to do good works. And yet it's one of the easiest things that we can do. We're blessed by living in a country with basically clean water. So how many of you that don't have a bottle today would commit to me to bring a bottle next week and to start carrying one of these with you more often? Anybody willing to commit to that? Thank you. Okay, so let's see if we can double it next week and remind ourselves to be drinking water, because you know the story. By the time you think you're thirsty, you're probably already starting to get dehydrated. So let's do some Health 101. And I may struggle with a lot of things that the health people tell me to do, but this is one that I've got. I may not be able to make the healthiest food choices sometimes. I may not make it to the gym, but by golly, I can have a bottle of water next to me and start drinking that thing all day long. So join me, and next week I can't wait to see more bottles.
One additional point I'd like to make as a senior citizen. If I'm dehydrated, or I'm getting dehydrated, there is a cascading emotional and physical problem. And the older we get, the more important it is to stay hydrated throughout the day. There are now water bottles that will show you the times, how many hours of the day, and how much you consume. And I really, really, really recommend that you overcome any resistance to this and start drinking water. I have heard, I have to go to the bathroom all the time. Well, that's good, because what that water is doing is flushing toxins that have been accumulating in your body. And we are so exquisitely designed that one little thing out of whack leads to others and others and others. And so again, please consider doing this hydration throughout the day. And the final part of this is, how's your sleeping going, kids? I heard Again, this is one of those things that we were designed to do, and there's an enormous amount of activity going on. So our brains need to be highly oxygenated, they need to be hydrated, so that they can do the amazing things they are designed to do. 2 years ago, the Nobel Prize in Physiology was given to someone who had identified in great detail the number of activities that the brain is designed to do, directs us to do, over the course of a night. And I won't read it all to you, but the title was Discoveries of Molecular Mechanisms Controlling the Circadian Rhythm. That could put me to sleep just reading that, but I mean, the gist of it is that we really need to do something about our sleep. And so I ask you to recall the last time you watched a baby sleep. Can you remember that? You notice how they hit the bed and out. Very little movement. Every so often there's a smile. I used to think that was gas, but what I think I've come to understand is that they realize that a circuit has been closed, and one of the functions that the brain is supposed to be doing during their sleep has been completed. And so again, to become like little children, I'm going to recommend to you exactly what I do for these children. First and foremost, turn off the electronic devices at least 45 minutes to an hour before you're going to get into bed. At least I didn't hear a groan, thank you. The question, what do I do? Read a book, write a letter, write a poem, talk to the dog, anything to break the energy of electronic devices pulsing all of their waves to your brain that it's getting engaged and distracted by. The next thing is I suggest that you try to make your room as dark and as cool as you can. Our prehistoric brothers and sisters lived in caves. Great idea, but they're hard to find. But to make your room dark and cool is very important. And here again, as our brains have developed over the eons, they have responded to darkness and they have responded to cool. So again, setting the stage. No electronics for 45 minutes, dark and cool. The next thing I recommend to the kids is a few minutes before they're going to get into bed, to write down 5 things they want to do the next day. You know, if it's, not trip in the gym, pass my math exam, remember my lunch. Those are sort of the to-do items that often get on our minds, and we ruminate and ruminate and ruminate, and we can't sleep because, I've got to go to the grocery store, and then after that I got to the cleaners. So I'm going to suggest that you as well sit down and on a piece of paper, write down 5 things you want to do the next day. Put the piece of paper somewhere where you'll see it in the morning, like by the coffee maker, so that you have got that to-do list in hand. The next thing I recommend to the children is they write down 3 things that they're grateful for from that day. And not the generic stuff like their families and, blah, blah, blah. But 3 things, like someone was nice to me at recess today. Oh, I shared lunch with Martha. I mean, things that they're grateful for, kindnesses they received, kindnesses that they shared. Again, part of what is happening, I think, especially to many of us, is the window through which we look at our lives is so focused on what we're doing, what we're achieving, what we're acquiring, what we're not having, that we are literally missing a lot of blessings that are just being poured to us every day. This is helping these children to see interactions in a different way. The final thing I ask them to do is sit at the edge of their bed, sitting up nice and straight. Imagine being in the place they most love to be in the whole world. And breathe 5 times. To the count of 5 as you inhale, the count of 10 as you exhale 5 times. And then go to bed. What I can report to you is it is miraculous to see the difference in these children. Just a few weeks of doing this. They're energetic, they're present, their facial expressions are lively, they're enjoying their lives. And, there are all sorts of amazing recommendations, but one of the things that was brought to my attention this morning is neurophysicists are beginning to realize that if your sleep is consistently disturbed, it is one of the factors that leads to Alzheimer's. So again, what I'm recommending to you is that you try to get yourself a set time to go to bed. You have all of your routines down. And as I have been told, the more pre-midnight hours you can sleep, the more energy, the more healing, the more positive results the body experiences. Because we are wired to the circadian rhythm. When it's dark, it's time to go to bed, sleep enough. When it's light, we automatically get up. We don't need alarm clocks. We don't need people telling us or calling us or whatever. So again, my friends, I know it sounds kind of weird, but when I first heard of Unity, it was about practical spirituality. It was practical Christianity. This is practical spirituality. We are made in the image and likeness of the most amazing Creator. We have the most astounding physical bodies. And if we take ultimate care of them, we will be alive and well as those children of God, regardless of our age, regardless of our circumstance. Breathe, release corrosive energies, be hydrated, and sleep. And I look forward to hearing how it's going when I see you maybe at Christmas. Okay? Any questions? No, Elizabeth did say I'm here for questions. Any questions before I... Well, good.
Let's thank you for the one more time. Now we get to show our gratitude, and I have a couple of things that I'm going to do here as well.
So as we get ready to take our love offering today in this place of gratitude, there are two people that I want to thank on behalf of the church. The first is Nancy for being here. I don't know if you realize it, but she's donated her time to us the last few weeks when she's spoken with us on Sunday. So thank you for this gift that you are. And a few weeks ago, if you were here the week that I ended up getting sick and Doug, our musician, ended up getting sick, you may remember that Tatiana covered the entire service by herself. So we have something to thank her. We have such great people here. So in that spirit of Thanksgiving, oh, and then one more thing, that's right, I forgot. You may have noticed that I look a little different today. Yes. So cute. Thank you. So I'm donating 10 inches of hair to a cancer wig fund, and I'm going to bless that and send that off this week. So as you help me bless this, I hope it makes it into a wig, and we're grateful. Oh, that's right. I'll do that when I do the next part. Thank you. And we have one more thing. And so we bless this hair. We bless this donation as it comes into us. We are grateful. We are overflowing with gratitude. And I will now say a line and ask you to repeat after me. Divine love through me.
Divine love through me.
Blesses and multiplies all that I have.
Blesses and multiplies all that I have.
Hair and money.
Hair and money.
And it blesses and multiplies
Blesses and multiplies
all that I have and I give.
all that I have and I give.
And all that I receive.
And all that I receive.
Amen. I now invite you into a time of meditation. As you sit in your seat, this is your time to let go and relax and reconnect in consciousness with the source of life and all that is within you. And as I sit here, I notice the body first, making sure that it is set so that I can spend this time in silence, supported by the body, with my feet grounded, solid, my hands resting gently in my lap. I sit with a straight spine and relaxed shoulders. I relax any tension in my face, the eyes, the brows, and the jaw. Let them relax. And I begin to notice the breath. The breath is what connects me so easily to the present moment. The breath isn't a minute behind or a minute too soon. It is perfectly present every time. And as I put my attention there, I become consciously present in each breath. I am not behind or ahead. I'm perfectly present in this moment. And when a thought stirs and takes me into the past or the future, I gently let it go. No judgment. This is what the mind will do. And as soon as I'm aware, I am back in the present moment. And I simply notice the breath again. And so now let me sit for a time in the silence, watching the breath, letting thoughts go together in silence. from this centered place, I begin to expand my awareness back into the room, farther out into the community and the world. I let this peace extend out. And all that I come in touch with in the coming days and weeks, may they feel this peace and this calm and this joy that comes from reconnecting consciously to the source within. May I be blessed, may my community be blessed, and may the world be blessed by what we do here every Sunday. And so it is.